Thanks to EA for sponsoring this video. Hey lovelies, it's Kate. Welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. In this video, I'm building townhouses in San Sequoia. So this is a row of townhouses or a row of family homes. This build has 3 individual units and it was built on a 50 by 40 lot. This build is all about being dreamy and cozy. There's a front yard, including 2 garages. There's a nice yard, or 3 of them actually, because each family has their own backyard. And I just tried to include anything you would need for a family, and I just had so much fun building this. Before we continue, I want to remind you that you can use code EMERALD in the EA app and thesims.com when purchasing Sims 4 packs. You can use my code at checkout. Simply click on apply promo code and type in Emerald to support me and my channel. I get a 5% commission and during sales a 7% commission. Thank you so much for your support. Building this was a whole journey, and you wouldn't believe it because it's just townhouses, and I feel like the layout looks pretty simple because I totally wanted this to look like the real deal. I still tried to make it look interesting, but I went through so many changes here. Like, I wasn't sure how to build the front yard, for example, as you will see. And it was definitely a challenge, even though it's a more compact build, or maybe that's why it's like more challenging. So I basically built the first townhouse on the right side, and then I started to like duplicate all the rooms because I wanted this to be symmetrical. And I ended up having the 2 outermost townhouses to have a slightly different roof layout. So it kind of looks as if the smaller one in the center is kind of like in the middle being hugged by the other 2 townhouses. I just wanted this to be super symmetrical and interesting. I added stairs in the front, and at first I wasn't sure which height to choose because I wanted the stairs to really stand out. And as you can hear, see, my initial idea was to have walkout basements everywhere because you know how much I love to include walkout basements. So you can see on the left side that I just built a basement. I removed the ceiling. But I then also wanted to include garages because I feel like it just gives this suburban vibe. And I then just decided to keep the walkout basement in the center, but I then simply added 2 garages and 2 driveways on the left and right. And this is like giving the different townhouses slightly different layouts. The 2 on the outside will be identical pretty much, but the one in the center has no garage. And even though it's like a bit slimmer on the inside, it's like having 1 additional room because of the walkout basement, or actually 2 additional rooms because of the walkout basement and the missing garage. So this kind of makes up for the fact that the one in the center is slightly slimmer. And in this build, everything and everyone is really close to each other. When I was taking screenshots, I like peeked out of one of the windows and I was looking straight into the other windows. Everyone is really close here, and I can actually relate to this because I grew up in townhouses, or the German version of a townhouse. It's called Reihenhaus, and the townhouse has 4 units, and I grew up in the second one from the left. And when I was a kid, like all the backyards were like super close to each other because everything was connected, just a small fence separating everything. There was just no room around the individual units or backyards, and I always played with the kids in the other backyards and everything was so close. And also the neighbors, like I remember the terrace in the back right behind the living room. There was like only a teeny tiny fence separating the neighbor's terrace from ours, and like we were sitting on the terrace having a barbecue, and so did the neighbors, and there were like only a couple of meters between us, and they were sitting down and having a barbecue, and so did we, and we were like talking to each other while we were like sitting in our separate gardens, and it was fun at the time. We got along so well and it was beautiful. And I think that's kind of the magic of townhouses. As long as everyone like gets along, it's like really fun to be so close. I mean, you have to like it and you have to be someone who really like enjoys to be social with the neighbors, I guess. But I could kind of relate while I was building this. And of course, a German townhouse looks very much different from this one. This is like very dreamy. It's giving US American suburban style, and I totally wanted to lean into this style. I love it, and it just made sense to build this in Sun Sequoia, but it was just fun, and it kind of brought back memories from my childhood and everything. And here I'm working on the backyard, so you can see that each house has its own backyard. I'm also going to add some pools and a swing set, monkey bars, just different things. This really has a focus on family gameplay and everything. I wanted this to be as realistic as possible. It's still luxurious and quite big. This is probably the type of house that you would see, I don't know, maybe in San Francisco, and it's costing millions. So this is not like the relatable type of townhouse, not the one I was talking about from my childhood. It's still luxurious and over the top because it's The Sims and it's a Kate Emerald build, so I was still going a bit overboard, but I still wanted this to like look suburban. I didn't want this to look like a luxurious mansion, so I was adding this pool which is above ground. I simply raised the foundation. I then added a small foundation piece and stairs. I think there's probably another workaround for this which is more elegant, but I was still like trying to, just wanted it to look more realistic for a house like this. I also landscaped a bit, added like some bushes and flowers and trees, and also like some random trees because I feel like someone just planted a tree somewhere and it just grew very big. I didn't want this to look too planned out, so it is a bit random and each yard looks a bit different. I also want to take a second to talk about the colors. So each house has an individual color, and I'm also going to use these colors a lot on the inside. And in my head, my story here is that the blue house is the sky unit, the yellow one is the sunflower unit, and the red one is the poppy unit. But I don't think that I will be able to assign these names because I feel like the units have always like to be named after the lot, and then it's like 1, 2, 3, but I could be wrong. I will try to figure this out. But this is kind of the story in my head, and I also wanted to use these colors heavily on the interior. For the blue unit, as you will see, I also wanted to have a nice contrast. So I've used lots of warm wooden tones in there because it just looks so beautiful when you have a blue color, a blue wallpaper, and then you just incorporate warmer tones. And here I'm like working on the terrace for the red unit, the poppy unit, and I also wanted to include a pool. And this garden is like slightly bigger because it like goes around the corner to the left, and I've included a swing set over there. I wasn't sure where to place everything at first, and looking back, it would have been also fun to have like a fence going around it, like to fence off the pool, which I think is like very common in the US. But yeah, I just wanted this to look a bit random. Yeah, I placed this random chair, for example. Maybe someone is like watching their kids, mom is sitting there or dad is sitting there watching the pool, like this kind of stuff. I just wanted to place some objects more randomly. And here I'm working on the front yard. So you already saw glimpses of the front yard design where I had used a round foundation, and I pretty much edited this out of the video because this version did not make it into the final version of the build. I eventually ended up separating each unit in the front as well because it just looked better and it was looking more like the real deal, and I think it just makes more sense. You can see that 2 units have a driveway because of the garages, and then the one in the center has just a tree and everything, which also looks good because then we like don't have just lots of driveways in the front, but also like a nice tree, and it's like more lush and green. I also placed 2 debug cars from the base game in the front just for decorative purposes, and I'm also going to place 2 additional ones in the garages. And I then added these beautiful bushes and flowers to decorate this more. And at this point it was coming together because I was initially very happy with the houses and the layout and everything, but I just couldn't figure out how to make the front yard look good. And this like happens to me quite often. Like I'm building something, and when it's not a mansion, I'm like totally stuck on the front yard. So I have a house sitting on a lot, there's nothing around it, and I have no idea how to continue. This is like really difficult, and I was so happy when I reached this point because I feel like it makes sense. I added some shelves and corbels to decorate the house a little bit more, and I at first wasn't sure how to color the stairs, because when you apply a wallpaper to the stairs, it's like coloring both sides. But of course, like I would have loved to only color one side because the two houses and sides are kind of meeting there. But I just decided to do it this way. I also added lots of red flowers, and I also added them to the left side, to the side of the blue house, because it was such a nice pop of color. And I felt like there was so much going on already. We have these three colors, and I then thought, okay, if I'm adding like so many different colors for the flowers as well, it's going to look too busy. There's just so much going on already. So I just placed these beautiful red flowers everywhere. And I'm finally furnishing, so I'm going to furnish this from left to right. This is the unit on the left, the blue one, as you can see. And I've used a wallpaper which is matching the exterior color, and I then used this kitchen which looks really yellow. It has a wooden countertop, it has a lot of warmth in it, and as I said earlier, I was going for this nice contrast. You can just see how beautiful it looks. It's just so nice to like play with contrasts and everything, and I'm not really good with color theory and everything, but I feel like this makes sense and it's looking so cute. I've used cabinets from the base game here because I didn't like the matching ones, because it like has this super cute curtain in the front, which is cute, and you can also see it at the bottom for the counter, but I don't like to have like this type of cabinet. It's looking too busy, and I just decided to use one from the base game. I then decided to have this island counter because I love island counters, and I thought, okay, it would make sense to just place some half walls around it. And I then placed some beautiful pillars there, and I just filled in the gap using a base game shelf. It all came along at this point, it came together, it made sense. I placed the sideboard right in front of the half wall, and also some bar stools, and I really wanted this to look pretty cluttered. Like, I'm not really a clutterer, but I wanted this to look very lived in, so I was trying to add as many details as possible. And I feel like when you're working on a more compact build, it's much easier to make it look like lived in and cluttered, because as soon as you're adding stuff, it's like really well decorated. Because when you have a kitchen which is like, I don't know, 10 times the size, it's really difficult to really fill in all the space and to make it look realistic. So I really enjoyed the process. At first I was worried that I wouldn't fit everything in here, but as you can see, it's making sense, and it has like really realistic proportions. We have the dining table right in front of the window, which also makes sense, like lining it up like this. And then we have the kitchen on the left and the fridge, and I feel like it made sense. And I had a lot of fun furnishing this, because like really trying to figure out how to place everything and moving it around so it's functional and it's looking cute was just such a different experience, because I'm usually furnishing these gigantic builds. And I was then left with this beautiful empty area, which was just perfect for building a living room. You can see that the TV fits like right into this nook, and I was then looking for the perfect sofa, and we have so many options at this point, but I ended up using the one from Cats and Dogs, and I'm going to use it in like different areas of the whole build because it just looks so cute and dreamy. It's just perfect for this type of style. Cats and Dogs in general is like giving Cape Cod, but here I was just going for dreamy, and it just made sense. I also included this small pet bed because pets are family, and I just wanted to incorporate a little detail like this. And I then noticed that I also have to add bathrooms, obviously. And I managed to squeeze in a room in here in this corner without like disrupting the whole floor plan, and I was even left with a small nook on one side, and I'm going to add a door there, and I was even left with enough space to have a desk. And first I confused myself and I placed the desk in the nook where I had placed the door. This of course wasn't working, but I could place it on the wall, and I added a small plant over there, and I was so happy with this. And look at the nice contrast. We have all these warm wooden tones, and I then furnished the bedrooms. This unit has two bedrooms, one main bedroom and one kids bedroom, and it's going to be the same for the unit on the right side, which is the poppy unit, the red one. And then the yellow one in the center, the sunflower unit, has more bedrooms because I actually ended up with more space, which was surprising because when I worked on the exterior first, I thought, okay, the one in the center looks like slimmer and it's going to be more crammed in, but because of the missing garage and the additional level, the walkout basement, I ended up with more space, which was super cool. So this is probably the main unit if you want to let Issa move in and rent out the other units maybe. And yeah, this is like the kids' room, and I ended up using the same wallpaper for the whole interior. The bathroom is the exception, but I was just really going for this cohesive blue vibe, and I just decorated this. I tried to clutter it a little bit, and I really like the whole, like the shape of the room, because it just makes sense to have the bed below the window in this little nook, and it kind of all, like, it just ended up making sense, because sometimes when I'm working on an exterior I really have to make sense of the floor plan and the interior first, but like here, for example, I was able to place the bed right below the window. I had a nice nook for a dresser, and it's looking pretty realistic, and I really love how it turned out. I hope that you also like it. I was really pleased with this, and I feel like having a good floor plan just makes furnishing so much more fun. I also added a TV. I just thought, okay, this room is pretty spacious and it makes sense to have this, so we have an additional TV. And I also try to incorporate a little bit of warmth by using this beautiful rug, but I also use like this mint green armchair and stuff. And this is the yellow unit, the middle one, the sunflower unit. And here I was using a counter from the base game, which has a really warm, beautiful tone. And it's the same, like it's the matching counter for the cabinets, which I had used in the blue unit, but I wanted every unit to look different, so I wasn't using the same cabinets. And you will see that the red unit is actually going to be like pretty modern. I also love the layout when it comes to the stairs. I just have to think of different US sitcoms where they have like a kitchen and then there are stairs leading up, and usually these are like additional stairs. Like in these sitcoms you like have some main stairs in the front, and it's usually like a proper house, and then you have additional stairs in the kitchen just for storytelling purposes probably, so someone can like run away and run up the stairs and everything. But I always loved this as a kid, and the same goes for like platforms. When I think of Home Improvement, for example, it had like this amazing layout with all these different levels and stairs. And when we got platforms in The Sims, I instantly had to think of this. I just love this type of layout, but I couldn't use any platforms here. Like I feel like everything is like already so small and a bit crammed in. I think everything would have been like, it would have been too much to like incorporate platforms properly here. And yeah, this is the living room in the yellow unit. I decided to also incorporate a small contrast by using the base game sofa in this light blue color, so we have a nice contrast compared to the yellow walls. I did the same for the rug, and I feel like it looks so cute and lived in. And this is the level above, and you can see that it has pretty much the same layout almost as the blue unit, but I was able to squeeze in like a additional bathroom, which is like part of the kids' room, and it's like a little bit more spacious. The layout is a bit different, and this here is just like the main bedroom. And then for the kids' room, I'm going to use bunk beds, so you can have more Sims living in here. And then there will be like more levels below. I didn't include everything in this video, but there are like more levels, and you will see everything in the screenshots. I like screenshotted everything, the floor plan and everything, so you can really see what's going on. I have to say I'm generally not the biggest fan of the color yellow and the color orange, but here it just makes so much sense. As soon as I applied the color to the exterior, I fell in love with it, and I had to think of sunflowers, and I thought, okay, but yellow is such a happy, lovely color, and I don't know why I'm not the biggest fan. I always say that pink is like my happy color, my happy place. Pink is just making me so happy, but yellow is of course such a happy, wonderful color as well, and it's so warm and beautiful, and I really enjoyed furnishing this. And yeah, this is the more modern unit. This is the poppy unit. I didn't include everything because this video got so long, but you can check out everything in the screenshots, of course. So this is the kitchen, and I really wanted this to stand out from the other ones. So we have a more modern vibe, and you can really tell that there are like different families, different personalities living in these 3 individual units. So it really feels like proper townhouses. And I hope I nailed it in that it like really gives townhouses. And before the video ends, I want to remind you that you can use code EMERALD at checkout in the EA app and thesims.com to support me in my channel. So when you are buying Sims 4 packs, you can apply the code to support me. I get a 5% commission, and during sales, I get a 7% commission. Thank you so much for your support. And this is it. This video is coming to an end. You can here see so many screenshots to really check out the floor plan, the exterior, the interior, just everything. And this build is available in the gallery. My ID is Kate Emerald, so you can just grab this from the gallery and let your Sims move in. It's CC free, it's unmodded. You can just grab this and play in it if you want to. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. Leave a comment if you want and subscribe if you feel like it. Thank you so much for being here. I love you all so much. Bye bye.